Okay, so I'm seeing some stuff, a lot of stuff. It's it's got me a little worried. I'm not saying it's wrong, but there is a ton of anti-China rhetoric going across fucking what I'm going to call the airways, the net, the internet, the airways, everything, media, across media platforms. There's a shit ton of negative information coming out about China, which I'm not saying is wrong. They've been a horrific nation since Mao took over. I'm not going to go into the history, but China has never been a socially responsible nation since at least what they call the Cultural Revolution, which is basically a giant murder fest. So when civilized nations who have an independent population, a self-thinking population, want to go to war with another nation, they need popular support. You will lose a war if your citizens do not want to go to war. You will lose that war. We've been losing wars since almost Vietnam. Is that kind of called Korea? I mean, what do we gain from Korea? You could call that a loss almost. Anyway, we lost popular support in Vietnam, and it's not just us. It's throughout history. Anytime a civilization has lost the drive to go to war with another nation, then you lose the war. It's over. You don't want your troops there anymore. So when a civilized nation wants to go to war, what they will do is have their intelligence agencies start disseminating information against that nation. Now, in China's case, that's easy. They're a fucking very sick fucking nation. They've been a sick nation. Hell, the Chinese simplified language that you have the option for on your Windows computer came about because Mao destroyed their culture. If you want to hear like really a fine dialect version of Chinese, you go to Taiwan. It's basically my point is it's incredibly easy to disseminate bad information about China because they're a fucking bad nation. They're a nation of people that had their culture completely ripped away and turned into barbarians. That's really what happened to them. However, when I see the amount, I mean, it's flooding. The network's flooded, and yeah, you can say, oh, it's a CCP virus or whatever. That's why. But what I'm looking at nations' responses to China right now. I'm looking at nations that owe China a huge debt. I'm looking at nations that I know their politicians are fucking owned by China, and even they are pulling the fuck away. Hell, the equivalent of a senator over the Czech Republic just passed away recently, and his wife found a letter from the Chinese embassy in one of his, I think it was in his jacket pocket or something like that, and she found a letter threatening him, saying that if he traveled to Taiwan, there would be severe repercussions. So there's a lot of countries that are indebted to China. They're fucked. And they're standing up against China. Their politicians are telling China basically to fuck off and pound sand. People are starting to decouple their economies from China. Japan is one of them. I'm here in Japan. They are beginning to decouple their economy completely from China. The amount of anti-rhetoric I see coming out about China tells me that somebody wants popular support for a war against China. China, I think, knows this because as I make this video, they are testing their nuclear stockpile. They're getting ready for war also. If this pops off, men like Xi Jinping, Putin, those guys cannot lose fucking power. They would rather die than lose power. Losing power is far more scarier to a psychopath, especially in their case, because there's 1,000 other psychopaths ready to take their fucking place. And they will lock them away for anti-corruption reasons, as if they're not corrupt themselves. They will lock them away. They will spend the rest of those guys' lives cutting pieces off of them until they know everything that they know, and they will not stop hurting these people. Xi Jinping knows this. That's his future. That is going to happen to Xi Jinping. He's probably not going to die in power. That's just not how dictatorships end usually. They usually end in fucking horrificness. They usually end with a dictator getting locked away, tortured until all the information he knows about every aspect of his prior regime is known to the predecessor. So if we go to war with this nation, I guarantee you nukes will fucking fly. It will go nuclear. That man, if he can't have power, nobody can. That's gonna be his mentality, and for good fucking reason. He knows he cannot allow someone else to have power. They will reset the fucking world. Maybe I'm being dramatic. I hope I am. I hope I am. The good news is the stuff you hear in Hollywood and television, things like that about nuclear fallout. It's actually nowhere near. It doesn't. It's not like the video games like Fallout where the whole place turns into a barren fucking wasteland. The way we detonate nukes is every country detonates nukes is through what's called air bursts, and it minimalizes the fallout, the alpha and beta particles. So if a nuke goes off in your area, pray you're at ground zero because it's not pleasant afterwards either. But if a nuke goes off in your area, after about 2 to 3 weeks, the wind has blown most of the alpha and beta particle radiation away. So you should be, if you can survive without getting contaminated the first 2 or 3 weeks, you should be fine. You're still going to die of cancer. You're still going to get some type of exposure. It's going to happen. But you're not going to be sitting there like the victims of Hiroshima and Nagasaki where your skin's falling off. This rhetoric has me a little worried. I think we're about to go to war. I really do. I think within the next year, so it's really kicking off now. It's just about 3 to 4 years after tons of anti-rhetoric against another nation kicks off. That's usually when you see a war starts to kick off. Even the billionaires who have massive investment in China that need the CCP to let them fucking operate, even they are starting to come out and say, hey, yeah, China's bad. Even they are. Ones who used to praise China publicly so they could keep their businesses going in China, they're actually coming out with it. I think they see the writing on the wall. I think they know they're about to lose all their investment over in China. It's going to get fucking bombed. I think they know that. I'm not saying they're going to bring manufacturing back to the States. I think they're going to fucking move to someplace like Vietnam or some other Southeast Asian countries. They might bring it back temporarily until they can establish the infrastructure needed, which is going to take probably a decade. In a place like Vietnam, it'd probably take a decade to get the infrastructure in place for stable power, for 24-hour, 24/7 power to be running to a factory or something like that. They're going to have to build out infrastructure. These places, it's very common to just suddenly lose power. Very common. Yeah. So I think within the next 4 to 5 years, we're looking at a fucking war with China if they don't collapse. Now the good news is if we decouple our economies, if the world decouples their economy from China, they have spread themselves out so fucking thin across the world with so much investment with this One Beltway initiative and these islands out in the South China Sea. They probably have several $100 billion worth of annual maintenance fees to maintain what they are trying to build in the world. They will fucking collapse. We might be able to avoid a war with them. They might just completely fucking collapse. And if the middle class of China, which isn't as large as people think it is, in retrospect to the size of their population, I should say, if their middle class suddenly goes back to impoverished, they might actually finally have enough and rise up and overthrow the CCP themselves. You can't give somebody a taste of a great lifestyle and then suddenly take it away, especially if you got a generation born into that lifestyle. That would be like the baby boomers suddenly becoming dirt fucking poor. It would have turned into a revolution in America if that had happened. Hell, pretty much did. We had a massive recession because we overspent on Vietnam and we had the fucking hippie movement. The 70s were just rocked with fucking protests and fucking violence because generation had been born into privilege, really, and then they were losing it. I'm really hoping I'm wrong. But you need to start stocking up on canned foods, things that last. If you're like me, you probably don't have to worry about it because this will be ground zero. There's so many military bases here where I'm at. Nukes fly. I'm going to be vaporized. I'm not going to feel a fucking thing, thank God. I couldn't ask for a better way to go, really. Especially if you don't know what's coming. It's just a bright white flash of light and you don't know. You're gone, thank goodness. But for those of you in the States, you're even probably within 30 to 45 miles near a city, you're going to have a horrific death. You're going to want to be in that city. They're going to nuke, every city will get nuked. Every city that has manufacturing capability will get fucking nuked if nukes fly. Everybody thinks, oh, they would nuke this city. We don't have anything here. No, you're wrong. If you have manufacturing, if you have the capability to manufacture, if you have infrastructure, you have power, all that stuff, they will nuke it. That's what nukes are for. They're designed to completely wipe everything out so the fucking follow-on invasion force can come in. And when they get there, people are so desperate for food, electricity, infrastructure, and control, and law and order, that they just accept the fucking invading force as the new law. That's what nukes do. That's why if someone sets off nukes, we nuke back to make sure they can't invade us. They're gone also. It's to reset the world. It really sucks, but it's the only way to stop an invading force from basically becoming your new government. Hope I'm wrong. I ran at my phone because it makes me feel better. It's therapeutical. My phone doesn't fucking argue with me and tell me I'm wrong. Just be ready. Just be ready. This is the same type of rhetoric we saw right before we kicked off the invasion of Iraq, dude. For those most of you on my Facebook are your prior Marines, and we served together. You saw it. All the fucking weapons of mass destruction and all this shit was coming out of the news left and right, and we fucking invaded. And we honestly didn't think we were gonna invade. Even when we were in Kuwait, we didn't think we were gonna invade. I remember I was spreading around rumors, making up all kinds of weird shit, and it was flying around the fucking camp. Then when we got to combat, and I saw what rumors did to people's lives. Yeah, that was a fucking dumb idea. I didn't know. I didn't understand why the Marine Corps hated rumors so much. Just be prepared. I'm really worried. I think we're looking at a war within the next few years with China. I'm hoping that we just decouple our economies and they collapse, and that's the end of it. That's what I'm hoping. But when I see this much rhetoric coming out against China, coming out against a nation, that usually tells me they're trying to get fucking popular support for a war. That's what it tells me. And I don't think we can afford that right now. I think we've overspent way too much. I don't think our grandchildren have a great future right now. Anyway, deuces.